Ching Cheong, the former Straits Times China bureau chief, said at a Meet the Author session for his book, My 1000 Days Ordeal, A Patriot's Torture, that the poor Xilai scandal is one example of how the Chinese political succession system isn't working. Bo Xilai, a former Chinese politician, was expelled from the ruling Communist Party of China recently and is facing charges of corruption and interference in his wife's murder of British businessman Neil Haywood. The expulsion of the former party chief of Chongqing comes days before the 18th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, which will elect future successors of the ruling party. Bo is believed to have tried to disrupt the handover of the Chinese presidency.
This is the first party congress that has seen such keen competition, the keenest competition that I've ever seen after the collapse of the Gang of Four, which was in 1976. This intense competition also produced a lot of surprises that we saw in the past years. First of all, you have the Bo Xilai, Wang Lijun Bo Xilai case, and then you have the Ferrari case, and then you have the sudden disappearance of Xi Jinping for a while, and then you have the muscling operation against Xi Jinping and Wen Jiabao, exposing them of tremendous personal wealth. Now, all this shocks the political stage in China. Now I want to highlight the Bo Xilai case, which is a very traumatic blow to the communist system. Now, on the very day that New York Times report on Wen Jiabao's personal wealth, that evening, Beijing announced that they will try Bo Xilai. And if you read the Xinhua news carefully, it is the people's highest prosecution committee that is going to prosecute Bo. Now, this has never happened before, and it's the first time since the trial of the Gang of Four. Now, if it is the highest people's prerogative to charge Bo, then it means that it must be the highest Supreme Court, highest people's court to try Bo. And in China, in the Chinese system, if it is the highest court to try one, then it also means that this will be the last trial, because there's no further higher level court to appeal. So in other words, Bo Xilai will not be given a chance to appeal. Now, why should Hu Jintao and Xi Jinping and Wen Jiabao together take such a tough stance on Bo? It's because I think in the past several months, the coup attempt by Bo may have really some substance to it. The rumor about a coup attempt might have substance to it, and because Bo, or the pro-Bo faction, is trying all out to disrupt the power transition. First, by generating a petition letter co-signed by 1,500 scholars in China, asking for the proposal to sack Wen Jiabao, and then put out the New York Times report and the Bloomberg report attacking Xi and Wen. it was because of all this that prompted the free person to join hand to deal Bo a deathly blow by denying his opportunity to appeal. Now, in the Chinese history, it has been only one case that it was tried by the Supreme Court, and it was the Gang of Four. In 1976, 78. Since 1978, no such case occurred. So in other words, this is the second most important trial after the Gang of Four. At the end of the day, all this intense competition, all this coup d'etat attempt, blah, 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 signifies one thing, that China's political succession system has not been really established yet. We have been told that in the last 30 years, China has gradually established a systematized power transition model. And all this recent event prove that that model doesn't work, or at least it doesn't hold for people after done. Now, how is this model? How does this model operate? We are told, before the Xilai crisis, we are told that, or the Chinese propaganda led us into believing that this system of appointing a successor to one's immediate successor would be the model for power succession in China. So we have Deng Xiaoping appointing his successor, Jiang Zemin. At the same time, Jiang Zemin's successor, Hu Jintao. Now, this guaranteed China for stability for roughly 20 years, for sure. From 1992 to 2012, all these 20 years, basically China is quite stable. So one would have thought that Jiang Zemin would do the same to try to appoint the successor to Hu Jintao. Now, unfortunately, Jiang doesn't possess the charisma and power of Deng Xiaoping. When Deng Xiaoping made the decision to appoint a successor for Jiang, no one dare challenge him. But when Jiang Zemin tried to appoint successor to Hu, he immediately got the challenge from Bo. Because Gu Kailai, his boss wife, has made public statement asking why it's not Bo but Xi. Why should the post given to Xi Jinping instead of Bo Xilai? So you see clearly that Jiang doesn't have Deng Xiaoping's authority to dictate that Xi would be Hu's successor. When he tried to name Xi as Hu's successor, he got the challenge from Bo. And Bo, in fact, tried to unseat Xi if Wang Lijun's disclosure to the Americans were true. Xi, in fact, attempted to unseat, Bo attempted to unseat Xi by 2014. So clearly, that works for Deng does not work for Jiang. And obviously, Hu, with diminishing authority, would be hard put if you want to name Hu Chunhua as the successor to Xi Jinping. I don't think Hu would have this capability or this power base to do what Jiang tries to do. So in fact, it means that all this intense competition that we saw, all these abnormalities, all these irregularities, in fact reflect the fact that the succession system is not established yet. All this point to the fact that China, until now, 30 years after the end of the Cultural Revolution, China has yet to develop a systematized mode of power transition. All that happens in the last year simply shows that the so-called Deng model doesn't really work. And I think it is the role of the future generation under Xi Jinping to try to work out a viable, predictable, and sustainable power transition system. Without that, I think we'll be still filled with all sorts of political surprises.
Up next, Ching Cheong talks about Xi Jinping, the current Vice President of China, who is slated to take over Hu Jintao as the country's 5th president.